Hey everybody, welcome to Taking the Time. It's a special edition Saturday. Probably be a little bit shorter than normal. Bryan's got the Rhodus Diver, and
I do.
before we get into that, maybe do we have any news?
Never want to waste anybody's time. There's a couple things on Kickstarter. Most of our viewers that are in there, if anybody has anything in the comments, or feel free to bail us out, because
right.
It's honestly with shopping and everything. Yeah. All right. Thanks, Billy. Thanks for watching. Yeah. But
somebody wants to watch the boys against the girls.
Yeah. That's right. It, but yeah, with everything else right now, it's just I honestly just haven't kept up with anything on Kickstarter. I know there's a couple of cool things that are kicking around out there. It's just one of those times where if you're thinking about launching around now, it's just going to be tricky, because everybody's trying to buy other stuff and they're not really thinking about that. So
yeah, we're getting ready to go into the dark ages of the year.
Yeah, definitely. Good afternoon.
Right after Christmas, and
always around holiday time, everything's in fast forward, and still have a pandemic and all that other happy stuff. So it's I'm sure that a lot of people have been a little kind of tuned out to what's going on in the watch world, because every year, once you get past Thanksgiving, it's like bang slam, you're into Hanukkah, Christmas, and all that stuff, and then New Year, and then we're writing the wrong year on a check again, and that's about it. So yeah, my apologies for not really.
Hey Robert, thanks for joining us, bud.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think I'm projecting to launch the Air Commander in like late March, early April. I think that's probably what I'm gonna, if I'm not too traumatized from the last March, April launch.
Yeah. It's been a heck of a year. It has been. The ups and downs this year, and
I'm sorry. What were the ups? Yeah.
I'll get back to you on that one next week.
It's almost over.
Yeah, in true Bryan and Brad fashion, this is obviously, we don't come on here just to be like, well, what good happened in 2021? Well, I'm still alive. We'll start with that. I'm thankful for that. Other people might not be so much, but that's okay. But yeah, anyway, it's my turn with the Rhodus Diver. And
hold on. We got to do a wrist check first.
Oh, well, you know what I have. So
yeah, today, sir, is an R Page day, and I have the Stealth Barrage. If I could just get the lighting right on that.
Oh, that is
Cali dial, and then the even more exquisite Illinois autocrat movement that's powering this beautiful watch. So that's an R Page W Rocket Stealth Barrage, and it's one of my favorites in my collection, of course. And I'm actually looking for a Illinois Monty dial size 12, so that Mr. Page can make me a beautiful. I never get the name of that case right. It's the square one.
The Speakeasy case?
The Speakeasy, exactly.
Yeah.
I don't know why that always eludes me, but anyway. So that's probably my next watch if I can find the right that Monty dial or a blue Airbricks dial for a Waltham.
That'd be awesome. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. So we've already chatted about it, and hopefully we can make that happen in 2021. But we are here to talk about the Rhodus Diver, which is currently on Kickstarter, guys. Let me see if I can get a banner for that.
That's just about.
Or I'll put the link on the webpage, on the banner for their webpage. Hopefully they have it linked to where it'll go straight to the Kickstarter. If not, you can go to Kickstarter, type in Rhodus, RHODUS, and it'll pull up that watch.
And here it is in all of its glory.
Yeah. Nice 40 millimeter diver with a lovely beads of rice bracelet that I personally really like.
Oh, it is. It's fantastic. This is it's 40 millimeters, so it's going to be a little bit on the smaller side for me, but just the fit and finish it's unbelievable. This, it's not a humongous watch, but I mean, you can feel it. The craftsmanship is definitely there. I'm not even going to try to get this really, really cool case back in there. Screw down crown with a skull on it, which is also going to be impossible for me to try to show you. The details on the clasp, everything is, this watch is really great. It just so happens to be a little bit small for my big old monster wrist. That being said, I mean, this is a ton of watch for the money. I mean, it really is. The bezel, you're getting really positive clicks.
120 click. I don't think you mentioned that last time, but yeah.
120 click, unidirectional. That's right, yeah. And it won't go the other way. And I hate when they get off center, so I have to go around again. And, I mean, this is just...
It's complete.
Yeah, I mean, the form, function, everything. It's almost has kind of the double arrow style, the fatter hour hand with, it looks like an arrow, and then more of a kind of a sword minute hand with a nice orange contrasting second hand sweeping around there, really nice.
You hit the Sunray dial perfect. That you hit the right angle to your edge, just like
did it? Yeah,
really good. Yeah.
It's hard to count.
You're getting better at that, better than me.
So I probably only got it right because I wasn't looking at it and I wasn't paying attention. So, yeah, I mean, it's a total sunburst blue, everything. Yeah. I mean, this is what it comes in.
It's nice watch patches
from Harry's in London. It has, 2 flaps inside. It also comes with a sailcloth strap and leather on the back. Yeah.
And so where we're out in the campaign is we're 43% funded, and there's only 56 hours to go as this is being played live. So it's unfortunate that we're not further along. I feel like it would have been maybe more successful if we would have more marketing prior to launch. But we're also in a worldwide economic disaster.
Yeah, it's just just a crazy year. But I have to say, other than that, it's just a little too small for me. I can't find any fault with this. As a diver, I think it looks fantastic.
Yeah.
I kind of have a diver is a version of a tool watch. So, there's really only 3 criteria for a tool watch. And I don't know if you agree or not, but it's going to be the, pretty much the size, the legibility, and the function for this particular watch, which this is a diver. 120 click unidirectional bezel. That's what you would expect on a diver. Helium escape valve.
So
6 o'clock day window.
Bezel with 120 clicks is a pretty solid standard for a diver.
Yeah.
Is that 1,000 feet diver? Is that right? I'm trying to remember. I think it is. I mean, it's more than it really matters, which is a diver.
Yes, it's 30 atmospheres. So that's 290 meters, because we are at 1 atmosphere.
You're going too deep. You're making it too complicated. Just read the dial. I think it says it on there.
Yeah, 30 atmospheres. So.
Oh, it says 30 atmospheres. Sorry.
Yeah. I mean, technically, right now, as we sit here, we are in 1 atmosphere, and you go underwater every 10 meters just to another atmosphere. But let's say this is going to go far. This is going to go all the way down with you. And if you take this to its max depth, I'm pretty sure you will crush before it does. This is stout. It's a little beefcake, and it's just it really bums me out that it's not making it all the way. I really want to see this come back and make it. I really like it. Like I said, it's a little bit too small for me. Yeah. And some people don't swim or don't want to swim or whatever.
Then you'll be good in your bathtub, my friend.
Yeah. Then maybe in a hot tub or something. Yeah. So it's safe. I mean, and it has all the functions of the big expensive divers. Helium escape valve, which
C3 BGW9 on the bezel.
It is, yeah. C3 on the dial, BGW9 with that sunburst dial that I kind of get it's about around 1,000 feet. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, but it's technically not, because we are at 1 atmosphere. But I'm not going to break it down into the math, because
999 feet, 300 meters is what's displayed on the Kickstarter. So we'll go with that.
I mean,
if anybody wants to drop down to 1,000 feet to test it, and you can make it back, and I'll listen.
Yeah, for real. And I in no way condone this, but
I do.
If
you have the skills to do that, my hat is off. Go for it.
Yeah. Maybe a submarine or something, and which I've always kind of wondered about the helium escape valve would really work only if you were in something like a submarine, wouldn't it?
I don't know. I always wondered.
Shouldn't be helium molecules that far underwater, but
I always wondered why the Seamasters unscrewed, and if you were going to use it, when would you unscrew it?
Yeah, like vent it or something. Yeah,
right. I don't know.
I guess on your way back up.
I guess that thick book that the Seamaster comes with might tell me in there somewhere.
Yeah, it's I think you'd vent it on the way back up, but you'd have to have helium somehow saturated into the water if you were just diving. I don't know. Yeah. And we all live in a yellow submarine, Brian. Yes.
Yeah, we're going off the rails.
Yeah, we've pretty much derailed this one. Anyway, this is it's a really great watch. Bang for the buck. It's there. Yeah. It's not looking like it's going to make the goal this time, but definitely keep an eye out on this in the future. It's really, I can't complain about anything. The watch itself, it doesn't actually, it doesn't even fit really. It's a little bit smaller, but that's, I'm bigger than a lot of people. So
yeah, you have an 8 1/4 interest. Is that right?
About 8 1/4. So It's pretty good size. And so almost everybody else, this is going to fit great. And I mean, you can feel, I meant to throw it on the scale real quick. Obviously something that I try to stay away from myself, but, but it's a stout piece of equipment, and it looks fantastic on the beads of rice.
It's well done. It's worth a back. It's like 275 or around 280.
Yeah, and it comes with
very affordable.
Yeah,
that watch pouch is very nice.
Yeah, I mean it's really thick. It's thick, soft, suede leather. I mean it's like I said, it has a couple of pouches inside of it. So, and this is from Harry's in London, I think. And that's pretty much it. We've reviewed this one once. Wanted to try to do it, kind of give it a last push. I'd be happily surprised if this magically got enough backers to get it from about halfway there. But realistically, I'm hoping that we're going to see it come up again in the new year, and looking forward to a lot of things like that. Where just hopefully things are just going to get better. So
one quick thing to mention, I know Jody from Just Another Watch, he actually was complaining about the clasp. So just so everybody knows, the production model of this watch, when that happens, it's getting an upgraded clasp. I don't see the problem with the clasp, and I don't watch reviews. Is that kind of ironic? So because basically I don't care what other people think about watches for the most part.
yeah, it's whether you like it or not. I mean, or I
like might not be the best policy.
Well, I'll tell you what is that this has on the clasp. It has the little keeper. Other than that, it's just a regular deployment clasp. You could have stopped there. To me, this just gives me a little extra peace of mind. I mean, I don't knock any points off of it for that. I don't see the problem. This is a Tissot that is considerably more expensive, and it's a deployment. It's not.
It's going to be the same style. I mean, it's still going to have that flip lock, and it's still going to have the levers, but it's a little bit more beefed up. The inside of the new clasp, and you can see that on the Kickstarter. It looks, the inside piece looks like a Rolex clasp, at least similar to the Daytonas. I don't know what the new subs look like. I haven't seen those clasps, but it looks like a Daytona clasp on the inside.
Yeah, I mean, I can
construction of it.
And I can understand how sometimes with these metal clasps, the metal here that you can kind of see the little skull, and it's all embossed and engraved. Yeah, it's upside down, and this is excruciatingly hard. But anyway, they get a little. Sometimes they're a little flimsy on some, but I mean the case back work, which it's just really cool. It's kind of a skull and some scuba tanks, and actually you can kind of see it. It's a skull with some scuba tanks behind it, and so wearing scuba gear. And like I said, if you pretty much take this to the bottom of the ocean, that's what you're going to be. So, and I mean that's it. I'm really hoping to see it again come up this year. There's been a lot of ups and downs this year with everything on Kickstarter. It's been better for some than others, and it's just
there's been a lot of stuff that shouldn't have failed, but that has failed. So
I know. And okay, well, last I checked, we're all still on the same planet, and there's still that one underlying, issue with COVID and things like that. That's still continuing to make life difficult for so many people. And it's just one of those things. It's just unfortunate. And I'm not a scientist. I review watches. So, certainly my heart goes out to everyone that's affected by this. My wife's had it. I've had I know other people that have had it. It's, it can be easier. It can be really difficult. So, one of those things kind of see how things go with vaccines. And, this show's not about global health crisis, but it's about watches. So,
So with that being said, you got two back to back, right? We got that Bronze Diver.
Yeah.
Do you have a new watch that we're going to be doing soon?
I'm sorry?
Do you have another one too?
It should be on its way. Yeah. I have the Aquila.
I'm going to get you a thing to where you can clip beside your computer so you're not doing this.
Yeah, so I don't look like I'm asleep. Yes, and that, so we can, we'll be doing that one pretty soon. That's really fun. That's the one that's kind of has the bronze. Its party piece is the bronze strap that's not supposed to, turn your wrist green or anything like that.
Yeah.
And so, we'll be going over that pretty soon. I will be also having another one, coming from France. I think it's, I got an email the other day. I was up in Virginia, so it's on its way. And so, I mean, so we really got, we do have some interesting stuff, and it's not every day is going to be like today. It was a little bit of a shotgun episode. So, just kind of last minute. I know the Army Navy game's on for anybody that's a football fan or, active duty veterans, everybody, we both are too. So, but, so you got anything else there?
I don't think so. Not that I can think of. If you're wanting a Raider, there's 10 left still. I don't know what people are waiting on, but I'd like to move those last 10. And we finalized everything on the Air Commander. The case back's designed. The fonts have been finalized. So every piece of that watch is finished. I have 3 samples that have been bought and paid for like several weeks ago. So I'm hoping that those get finished in this month and I get them beginning of next month. So, and I know somebody else is very excited about that too. Robert is getting one of the prototypes. So,
yeah.
So,
oh yeah, it's
one of the 3.
That's going to be really cool. I'm really looking forward to that. So
I'm getting 2 black and 1 blue. That light blue that I posted up, those are the final color arrangements for the prototypes anyway. And so
yeah,
we'll be shooting to sell at least 50 of those guys on Kickstarter. It's not going to be a cheap watch, so be prepared.
Yeah, I mean, yeah,
it's a manual wind Solita Swiss movement. So if anyone thinks that should be a $500 watch, I'm sorry. The movement alone costs about $300. So soak that in.
Yeah, no, and it's and that just kind of goes to that part, and we're kind of going on a little bit of a tangent, but it's what a watch is worth is not just the sum of all parts. It is that, and then you have to put it together and design it and put it together and make it work.
Yeah. So let's start with the fact that I spent hours trying to draw this watch so I could send these pictures to the guy that does the CAD work. Um, I usually don't share this type of information, but those 3 samples were $3,200. So, and that's, I had to get molds done. I had to, so the mold fees are a big part of that. And then the actual samples were another part of that. But people are always wondering, what does it take to actually get your own watch designed and created? And for this particular watch, it was $3,200 to make it go from the piece of paper that I drew it on to having physical samples. I see people saying all the time, I want to start a watch brand, and I'm like, I don't do you understand what that really means? Because I did and I didn't in a lot of ways. I'd probably still done it because I'm stubborn, but you have to have money to market, and that's the biggest challenge. Getting your design could, in fact, to be a great design, but you've got to get it in front of your audience. So you've got to find your audience, and you've got to market to them, and then you got to educate them, and so on and so on. And that's the biggest challenge. I mean, I see a lot of cool stuff that isn't successful on Kickstarter, and I'm like, man, that's a great watch. Why wasn't it successful? And excluding this year, the one that sticks out is the Tang-O-Matic. I believe that's what it was called, Tang-O-Matic. And they had a super cool design that was designed. The dial was designed after the ship, the lever where, you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, like the hatch, the latches for the hatches.
Or whatever, yeah, with different levers like the power for the power, right? I think that's what it is. I admittedly wasn't in the Navy, so as evidenced by my Boys Against the Girls comment.
Yeah,
but
I was Army aviation here. So
yeah, we got the boys, the girls, the men, the Marines, and then the smart ones.
I don't forget the Space Force. Yeah, they're pretty smart too.
That's just a branch of the Air Force. So.
Well. All right, we're not going to go down that route because I don't want some Marine to kick my ass.
Oh yeah. Well, hey, the Navy needed a men's department, so they created the Marines.
I'm sure a lot of them would agree. It's funny, and we love we are veterans. We joke around and bust stunts and everything. So it's fun. Really, our hats, both of us, which we aren't wearing, go off to everyone in uniform, and so we may have our own rivalries and things like that at the end of the day. We've been there too, so so everyone else that's doing it, has done it, or is thinking about doing that in the future, good luck and thank you.
Absolutely. Well, I think we've rambled on enough about starting your own brand, right?
Actually, I think it was actually good information because there aren't a lot of people who will actually tell that story, that it's a nightmare and it's expensive. And if it doesn't launch, if you fail to launch, it's a gamble that, you can't just.
Yeah. I mean, I would say that conservatively or on the low end, if you wanted to start a brand, you need to start with about $15,000. I would think that's where you would need to start with. So,
yeah, I mean, and depending on how you are, the more it's going to cost you. Because if you just go with a ready-made case or something like that,
unless it's a ready-made Submariner style case, it's probably not going to fly.
Yeah, we were going to call it out and everything.
For the life of me, why are people still buying homages to Rolex Submariners? Is it really just because?
I don't know. It's the same reason people keep making them. They make them because they sell. I don't know why. It's
This hurts my head and my heart.
But it's great because you've seen all these smaller companies now that you're getting competition that's pushing the envelope, and what that inevitably is going to do is push Rolex to say, all right, we're going to make something that you just can't, make. You're not going to be able to make this.
I don't think so. I don't think Rolex is going to change what they're doing because they're making millions of dollars. They're producing as many watches as they feel like they want to make, which is completely cool. Here's a comment that I would not have said 10 years ago. I believe that the Omega Seamaster is an equivalent to the Rolex Submariner now. And I had a Seamaster back in like 2000, 2001, somewhere in there, probably 2001. Because I remember going to a casino in the Bahamas with it, and I was 21. So I remember having a Seamaster at 21, and that was the Bond, the GoldenEye, I believe, the GoldenEye one. And it was in a few films, right? But so I mean, if you look at a Seamaster from 2001 and you look at the current one, and you realize that they've upgraded the bezel, it's a ceramic bezel. The dial's ceramic, which is very cool. Not in a kitschy way, but in an impressive way.
Yeah.
The movements, that coaxial movement, which is a 35 jewel movements. It's 30 some jewels. It's a high beat movement. It's a master chronometer, so it's super accurate. The bracelet's pretty much very similar, but I believe the clasp is a little bit upgraded. It's a little bit tighter. It's a little bit refined, I'll say. They've changed the hands a little bit. They're very similar style, but they've changed the hands a little bit. The indice, there's indice now instead of it being printed like the older Seamaster, which I like the look of the older dial better with the printed indice. But if you're comparing the current Submariner to the Seamaster, they both have those set indice with the white gold frames. So, I mean, I can't think of where the Rolex is better than the Seamaster at this point. And I mean, 10 years ago, would have not said that. I've handled a lot of different Rolex and quite a few Omegas as well. And I truly look at them as equals at this point. And you can get one and you can sit on a waiting list for years trying to get one. So I really feel like Omega is getting ready to take a huge step up, as far as people in the higher horological ranges or whatever, like those collectors. I can see that a lot more people are going to look at that the same way I am very soon, if you don't already, that they're changing the Speedy. A lot of people compare the Speedy to the Daytona. That's another situation where you have two super iconic watches.
Oh, yeah.
And I've seen people be like, oh, I'd take the Speedy over the Daytona. I'm just like, wow. Like 10 years ago, I would have not thought that somebody would have said that. I mean, I would take the Daytona over the Speedy. I love them both, but the Daytona just has a special place in my heart. So
yeah. And I mean, some things are more sentimental. So, they definitely have. And, Omega is all under Swatch Group as well. And so their sub brands, Tissot and et cetera, so that it's interesting to think that okay, kind of how, race car engineering gets kind of used, and finally it comes down to the production cars and makes them better and more efficient. in watches, that when you have bigger parent companies that are really making these big strides, then that technology is going to be used farther down the line. Omega's continuing to develop. And so I think it's great, because whenever brands and big brands start to really, put on the gloves and compete, the consumers are always going to win. And you're going to get some really great stuff out of it. And yeah, I mean,
hey, here's a random piece of information. The gentleman that came up with the coaxial movement, I don't remember his name off the top of my head, but he pitched this to Rolex first. And they're basically, they're traditional. And I mean, so anybody that says Rolex isn't innovative, it's like, well, they did all their innovation in the 50s and 60s and maybe some in the 70s too. So it's like, what do you, I kind of scoff at that a bit, because it's like, they don't have to, they're where they are, they've taken their pieces, which are basically timeless for the most part. There's a couple bastards out there, like the Bark finished presidential. If Rolexes, the Bark finished presidential, and it's horrendous. They had a couple weird, like mahogany or burl wood or different wooden dials on. I think those were only on the presidentials as well, that were like definitely like in period correct, like 70s, 80s, like it should stay in the 70s and 80s. And I'm sure there's even a niche for collecting those pieces, but you can't scoff at Rolex, because they created the first waterproof watch, not the first diver. I think the first diver actually is credited to the Blancpain. Is it Fathom 50 or 50 Fathoms?
55 Fathoms.
I always get them flipped. I believe that watch is the first dive watch. The first waterproof watch was the Rolex Oyster. And so the Submariner came from actually the Tunograph, which was like a reference 6200 originally. And then there was a Milgauss, the first Milgauss. Well, there was two different Milgausses. One of them had that bezel like the Submariner too. But so that original Submariner case came from that 6200 Turnograph. And then it evolved into the Submariner in 54, whereas the 50 Fathoms was 1953.
Yeah, I think so. That's in my notes actually somewhere.
We didn't plan on diving into this, but it's turning out to be good material, I think.
I think so. I mean, it's kind of picking up as we go along. And this is really, if you really don't believe that this is not scripted, you saw how we started this and we're probably falling asleep. And then all of a sudden you're like, oh, wait, they're alive again. And so, yeah, it's, so it's just kind of, it's one of those things that sometimes, we didn't do a show this past week. In fact, this was supposed to be pretty short, because it was just my take on the Rhodus, which is fantastic. RHODUS watches.com for any of our listeners out there that that like it. Unfortunately I don't see it getting another 50% funded today. So let's be on the
gonna do a little advertising. Sorry.
Yeah, be on the lookout for that. In the new year coming up, we do have a few. Like Brad said, I have a few that we'll be going over, and I'm working on not having to look down as much, because I just look like I'm asleep, and I'm really not. I promise. Sometimes I wish it was, but it's okay. And but yeah, so we still have some exciting stuff before the end of the year, and I don't know. You got anything else there, buddy?
What do you think? All right. I'm feeling into a chatty mood here, so hopefully some people hang on with us for a little bit. I'm gonna pick 3 iconic chronographs, and I want you to think of your three iconic chronographs. All right, so I'll go that way. It'll give you a moment to think about them. All right. First and foremost is the Rolex Daytona, and when I say that, I think of the Newman Daytona, that classic Panda or reverse Panda. I can't remember which one his was. I think his was the white dial with the black subdials. So that's like the number one iconic chronograph for me. Number two is the Moonwatch, which
that's my number one.
You're going to pick that for number one. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that would be my number one.
And what was that original movement? Was that a 3-2-1 movement? Is that right? Do you
I think we'll wind. And
all the pros have been manual wind and until now. I'm assuming they're going to put a manual wind in the newest one that they're getting ready to go to. It's either an 861 or a 3-2-1. I think 3-2-1 was first, and then the 861 was the next one in like the later 60s or the 70s. But I'm not great with agate history, so. Yeah. All right, the third and the final iconic chronograph for me is the Breitling Navitimer, and that was
my number two.
Yeah. All right. So that was that invented in the late 50s?
I think so.
Like 58 or so. That's an iconic.
I think out of all of them, that's one of the best looking. It's visually aesthetic. It's a fantastic looking watch, and I had one way back and then got lost in a car accident. But yeah, I mean, I think that it's just such a good looking watch, and I'm a big chronograph fan, and then actually my list is very similar to yours, and I kind of be negligent not to include the Rolex Daytona because because it's up there. So
I feel like it's it's a lot of people's grail, and like if you're a Rolex collector, it probably is your grail. Like that's the original. Like I didn't see one for like at least 3 years or so. When I first started collecting, it just never saw one. Like I saw two-tones, I saw solid golds. At one point, I'm like, I just want a two-tone champagne dial or white dial Daytona because I can't get a stainless. So that was like my mindset at one point. So, but I mean, you still can't get them. Like you can't get any sport model Rolex now, but you definitely can't get a Daytona.
No, I mean it's not unless you want to take out a second mortgage and you're really lucky if you find it. Yeah, I mean it's just it's the demand is so high, the numbers are so low, and it's wild. So they are generating astronomical prices.
Yeah.
Supply and demand. That's simple. We're not going to turn this into a civics class or, Econ 101. No, but it's supply and demand. A lot of people want them. Only a few people have them. Price goes through the roof. So there you go.
So you had the Moonwatch number one.
I did.
Did you have the Breitling number two?
I did.
And then the Daytona was number three?
I did. Yeah.
Oh, man. Hey, here's one that I didn't forget, but you might have overlooked. I don't know. This is our honorable mention. It's the Zenith El Primo. Yes,
fantastic. I was thinking about it, and actually, I didn't say that one because I forgot the name. El Primo, it's like the one. And
Rolex was using that in their Daytonas for a number of years.
Yeah, and
so up until 2000.
Yeah, and I mean they're fantastic. There's a lot of stuff, and I'm sure that there's something I'll sit there later and I'll be like, oh, I should have said this.
The
But
IWC Spitfire chrono or an IWC chrono would be a good fifth, I think.
Yeah, I'm right there with you again. It's kind of ironic that it was just
I can't think. I mean, so like when I think of chronographs, I think of Breitling #1, like as a brand.
Right.
The Moonwatch is there. The Rolex Daytona is there. Then I think of IWC and Zenith to be correct. And then I really can't. There's nothing that really comes to mind for other chronographs. Stratton is a micro, of course.
Right. Well, yeah.
But in the big leagues, that's kind of it, huh? Like,
that's some food for thought. I actually take a look, and I mean, there's a ton of them out there. I know Tag has some that.
Oh, the Tag Monaco.
Yeah, that are really spectacular. Off the top of my head. And that's also a pretty iconic watch. Yeah. Steve McQueen one.
Robert said Paddock, and I think of Paddock not necessarily as being famous for chronographs, but for complications. So when I think of like an annual calendar or perpetual calendar or a moon phase, that's when I think of Paddock, and I look at Paddock as like in the ultra luxury.
Yeah.
So that's what I think of for Paddock. But yeah, they definitely make like an annual calendar with a chronograph. Like their movements are insane. Like a Paddock. Like if anyone's ever wondering what my Grail watch is, it's a Paddock World Timer 5110, which is a relatively simple Paddock. But Paddocks. It's just that's my Grail.
Yeah, I mean they're not
cheapest one I ever saw was like $35,000.
Yeah, it's definitely it's that or a car or a down payment on a big house, a nice house or something. But So
I mean, looking back, we've done the top chronographs, we've done the top divers, and we've done the top pilot watches. Do you remember what the divers were?
I think had 4. I think there was a Seamaster. Oh man,
he's gonna cheat. You're gonna go back. One of them, you want a variation. One of them.
Top 5 pilots. We had an IWC, Breitling Nav Timer, Rolex GMT Master. Historical pilots. We had a Cartier Santos, Zenith, English Channel, Longines, Lindbergh, IWC Big Pilot again, Breitling Nav Timer, Rolex GMT Master,
Doxa, the Submariner, Doxa, the Fathom 50s, the Seamaster. Was there a 5th one? I don't think there was. It was just 4 iconic divers. If there wasn't a 5th one, it didn't. Not that iconic, huh? Robert, are we missing an iconic diver? You got this.
The sub,
The Rolex sub, the Seamaster, the Fathom 50s, and the Doxa.
Doxa, yeah. Let's see.
Some would say the Tudor Snowflake, but that's just an offshoot of Rolex. So I put that under the Submariner umbrella. I don't call the Aqua Timer from IWC that iconic, even though it's a really cool piece. That's.
I'm going back. I have notes on some watches. I don't really have many notes because, like we said, it's unscripted. I have notes about watches in movies. Notes on a Speedy Moon watch.
We're gonna fill that 5th spot with the Panerai Luminar.
Going to watches and movies. That's going to be right there. because that's huge. I've kind of Glendables, and it's just Panerai. It was pretty cool. In fact, I think I took a picture of it, of the movie, and I sent it to you, and I just said, yeah, like you might be a nerd if you pause a movie and take a picture of it and send it to your friend. So yeah.
Well,
yeah.
All right, man. We're on 50 minutes, and we
for a short show that
did whatever we wanted.
Went out the window, and hey guys, sorry if it was boring or just kind of derailed.
At least Robert enjoyed himself, I think.
Yeah, so, I think he's the last one hanging in there.
Right.
He must be really bored. So, but
it must be snowing.
Big shout out to you, Robert. Thanks for hanging in there. Whomever's hung in there with us so far. I'm sure if you like anything, let us know. You did. It awesome. Is it. He's the winner today. The Iron Man. And so no, that's really fantastic. I know it kind of went all over the place. We were talking about a couple different things, but yeah, all together, it's let's just have fun, and I hope everyone is able to stay safe. And if you made it this far with everything, thanks for watching. We'll try not to make them too long again, and
I'll have to caption this one really good.
It's just having fun with it. So let's try to stay safe, enjoy everything we have going on, and I guess got anything else?
No, we'll be back hopefully next week to do one or two of those reviews. I think we're going to be taking Christmas week off. At least I believe that's what it'll look like based on schedules and life and such.
Yeah.
But if you haven't bought a Raider yet, go over to MitchellTimepieces.com or at Mitchell Timepieces on Facebook, and you can link up to the website there, get yourself a Raider. 5 black, 5 white. It's 50-50 even. That's kind of funny. Pick up a Raider. I've got a custom made called the Jet Age with a piece of a Pan Am stock certificate in the 9 o'clock circle. It's a really cool piece if you want to stand out. And then I just finished the evolution of the fighter, which is pretty much the same thing as the evolution of the bomber, but with fighter planes. That duo, that pair has been sold, that I can order if anyone's interested. Additional dials. They are custom made by hand, and the laser obviously to get cut out, but all the loom work and stuff's by hand. So those can be done. I finished the 0 to 23 24-hour GCT watch. That's kind of like a clone of the original GCT that Elgin made. That was it wasn't the AN. Oh my gosh, I can't think of the reference, but the old pocket watches had an AN number attached to the back, but the Elgins, especially the white dial and then the first black dial with the 0 to 23 were actually A13s. So there was the A11 and the A13 pocket watch. The A11 was the wristwatch. So there's a very, very few number of those pocket watches out there, and it's extremely expensive to get one restored and make it a wristwatch. So I cloned it with a Swiss ETA 6498 or 97. I can't remember. I think it's a 98, 6 o'clock. We removed the second hand, the subdial, so it's pretty much as close as you can get to a GCT. Ordered another dial with a second hand at 6 o'clock for me that we're going to see how that looks. But some special things I've made over the last week or so. And that GCT is actually Robert's, so can't wait until it's finished, sealed, and stamped and sent. And I know he can't wait either. So.
Oh, I know.
I'm getting long-winded today, so he really shut it down.
So, Robert, big shout out to Robert for hanging there the whole time on the live broadcast. Anybody else that wants to fast forward through a majority of this stuff, can watch it later. That's fine. We know this was supposed to be a short show.
Yeah.
It's as long as our average now, but
we both had a rough week.
Yeah, I needed this. This is kind of my little break from reality, and I enjoy it very much. It's great when we have people that are viewing, commenting, things like that. It's a lot of fun. I enjoy it. So thank you everybody that's still watching this, or watches it in the future, whatever. And hopefully you learned a little something, if you didn't totally get thoroughly confused. But yeah, so
yeah, I mean, we could, yeah, we'll leave it at that.
We could yammer on like this all up for hours, and we used to at the very beginning. It was, I don't know how we kept any viewers, but hour and a half shows and stuff. Like, oh yeah, well, what about
I have two extremely dedicated Mitchell customers. You're one, and Robert's the other. So, like, you guys are my two top customers. Meaning you have the most watches, and I think you guys probably follow the brand the closest, from what I know, anyway. So I appreciate both of you guys. So
yeah, and don't worry, Robert, you're still beating me. So by a lot. So don't worry. You can yeah. But I will stay on it and have keep working them to get those pumped out to you, man. But
all right, guys. All right, we're shutting it down.
All
Thanks
right.
for tuning in. Mitchell Timepieces on Facebook, and Taking the Time Watch Talk on Facebook for us. Thank you. Bye.
Yeah, thanks, guys. Till next time. Bye-bye.